as was his habit, was taking a walk one afternoon along Kingston Avenue in New York City, surrounded by a group of young rabbinical students. We were peppering the teacher as we walked with questions about the Talmud.
A good friend of mine, Stuart, we went to school together. We were down at a junkyard when we were going to school, but we were down in the junkyard anyway, and we were looking for some type of an old vehicle that we could use to go out hunting.
Grandma Susan knocked on Cameron's bedroom door. She opened it and went in and sat down on the corner of Cameron's bed. The sweater was on the floor beside the dog, Scotty. She picked up the sweater and spread it on the bed. And she said, Cameron, I'd like to tell you about what I was thinking as I knit this sweater for you.
Once upon a time, there was an old woman, an old man, a little girl, a little boy, and a pet squirrel. And then they were sitting around and talking about biscuits. Biscuits with honey and butter dripping from it. Finally, the old woman got up, went into the kitchen. She said, okay, I'll go make some biscuits.
One night, 3 strangers came to a humble home and knocked on the door. The wife of the home opened the door and invited the 3 strangers in, but they stood outside. And she looked at them inquiringly, and one said to her, our names are wealth, success, and love, and you can only invite one of us in.
Once in a faraway land, there was a king who had a magic drum. Whenever he beat upon it, a huge feast would appear, and he would invite all of his countryside to come, the farmers and the town workers and the animals, the antelopes, and everybody loved the king because he was so generous.
Once, long, long ago, when greedy royalty and generous peasants adventured across the lands of England, there lived an outlaw named Robin Hood.
Aha! It is I steal from the rich and give to the poor.
And Robin Hood lived in a secret lair in Sherwood Forest with all of his merry men. And our story today is about one of those very merry men, his best friend.
Did you hear that? He asked. We heard nothing, Rabbi. Shush, shush, children, he interrupted. Do you not hear? Now, if any of you have been on Kingston Avenue, you know that it's no different than any other busy street in a big city. Traffic whizzing by, honking, car doors slamming, people getting in and out, walking on the sidewalk, talking.
And he says, I tell you what I do, I'll give you a good deal for this car. He said, maybe I better turn the engine off. So he turned the engine off. And he said, I got this great deal for you guys. He said, I'll give you this car for $15. We said, $15? Come on, it's got no fenders on it. The trunk lid's missing and only got a driver's seat in it. Okay, he said, I'll give it to you for 10. So we said, okay, we'll take it for 10.
You see the green stripe here? The green reminds me of the grass field. Remember the game I got to see where you scored the winning goal and everybody cheered? Oh, Grandma, you cheered the loudest. I know, that was a good. The blue is in honor of your beautiful blue bicycle. Remember when I was here last summer and your dad took the training wheels off? That was a pretty scared boy that came riding down that road ahead of him. But you managed it, you conquered it.
So she turned to the little boy and she said, you go on up to the store and you get me some sody saleratus and hurry on back. Oh, that little boy, he just went on down the road and jumping and singing, sody, sody, sody saleratus. He was singing that song so he wouldn't forget. And the shopkeeper gave him a little bag of it, and the little boy put it in his pocket.
To her husband inside and explained the situation. And he thought about it and he said, darling, I have been working for years to support this family of ours, and if I could only choose one, I would say invite wealth so that I don't have to work so hard. His wife looked at him and she said, honey, that's good for us, but What about our son? What about his future? I say, let's invite success to our home.
One day, there was a tortoise who was going out to seek food for his family. Went up to the top of the tree and he was picking palm nuts and putting them in his basket. And one of them fell onto the ground. And a woman was walking by and she picked it up and she ate it.
And Sherwood Forest was the best forest for adventuring. It had the biggest, strongest trees. It had the fastest, most delicious hares. And it had more deer than the entire population of Northern Europe could eat. But they were not allowed to, for the contents of the forest were strictly the property of the king.
So what was the rabbi hearing? A cricket, he said finally. Do you not hear the cricket singing, children? There, underneath the bench. Do you not hear him now, children? We strained our ears, listening as intently as we could until, yes, master, we hear him. Now we can hear him. Ah, sighed the rabbi. So melodic, so enchanting, so beautiful. Then he looked over at us and with a twinkle in his eye said, you know, children, it is as the popular saying goes. Yes, Rabbi, yes. It all depends, he continued, on what you are listening for, the cricket or the penny.
We had rode our bikes down to this junkyard, so we threw them in the trunk and we fired this thing up and rolled the windows all the way down the front and back, and we was coughing and sputtering, and we drove out of the junkyard. We were doing fine. It chugged up there pretty good. So we started down. Well, there was a couple of curves as you go down this road, and the car was picking up a few speeds. So we double clutched that baby down and dropped her into low range, which didn't help too much. We're still going too fast.
Orange. I'll bet you know, because I like oranges, huh, Grandma? Yes. I never knew a boy who could eat so many oranges as you. The yellow is a happy color. And it reminds me of the time that your dad made the phone call saying that they had got their little boy. A happy, happy time for a yellow stripe. Now red. Red is the color of hearts. Yes, because you are in my heart all the time. Cameron was really listening to what Grandma Susan said, and he finally understood how that truly, terribly horrible sweater was something he was going to wear for a very, very long time.
Well, that squirrel just skittered right out of the shop, skittered across the bridge, got right to the edge of it, went rah. Big old bear stuck his head up. I swallowed a little boy, him and his so deceleratus. I swallowed me a little girl. I swallowed me an old man. I swallowed me an old woman, and I'm gonna swallow you too. And the bear tried to jump, but he didn't quite make it. He came crashing down, landed on the ground, and split wide open. Out stepped the old woman, out stepped the old man, out skipped the little girl, and out jumped the little boy.
And then a voice from the corner piped up. It was their son. And he said, Mom and Father, I believe that which binds us together, that makes us wish the very best for each other, no matter what happens, is love. The husband and the wife looked at one another, and the wife turned to the strangers and she said, Love, come on in. And love entered. Upon his heels came wealth and success. They looked upon the new friends. We thought you said that only one of you could enter our homes. And love said to them, when love enters a home, wealth and success follow.
You have stolen the food that I have been gathering for my family. You are a thief, and I should report you to the king. Oh, Mr. Tortoise, she said, I didn't know it was your food. I would not have eaten it had I known that. But if you feel like you need to report me to the king, I will go with you because I am the king's wife. Yes, I stole it and I ate it. Oh, said the king, you can choose one thing from the palace to take home with you. So all afternoon, the tortoise walked around the palace and he opened the cupboard door and there was the drum.
All right.
And so they sat down for the finest feast Sherwood Forest has ever had. Now, at the beginning of the meal, the sheriff was quite worried, so he decided to share his food and be gracious. The sheriff rode off back to the same castle and the same riches, but with something very important changed inside him: his heart.